Most quarrels, broken friendships, and lost opportunities come from one simple cause. We did not understand what the other person was really feeling. We heard their words, we saw their behavior, we felt our own reaction, but we missed the heart of the matter. We argued with what they said instead of listening to what they felt. And so we walked away hurt, angry, or confused, while the real problem remained untouched. You have lived this, I am sure. You listen carefully to what someone tells you, and still you walk away thinking, how could they act like that? You hear the sentence, but not the emotion inside it. You react to what they do, but you misread what they need. They raise their voice and you think they are attacking you, when in truth they are afraid. They become cold and distant, and you assume they do not care, when in reality they are overwhelmed and do not know how to ask for help. Think of a common scene at work. A manager looks at an employee who is hesitating, making mistakes, avoiding responsibility, and he says to himself, "This fellow is lazy." From that moment on, every action is interpreted through that label. He becomes strict, impatient, perhaps even harsh. But what if the man is not lazy at all? What if he is afraid of being judged, of losing his position, of not being good enough? Treating fear as laziness will not cure it, it will deepen it. The misunderstanding becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. Or picture a home where one spouse says, "You don't care about me," and the other, stung by the accusation, rushes to defend. "That's not true. Look at everything I do." Voices rise, tempers flare, and tenderness disappears. Underneath those 4 words, "You don't care about me," may be something quite different. "I feel alone. I feel ignored. I'm afraid you don't see me anymore." When we answer the accusation and ignore the feeling, we win the argument and lose the person. Then there is the friend who slowly pulls away. Messages take longer to answer. Invitations are declined. You tell yourself a story. "They must be bored with me." Or, "I must have done something wrong." The hurt grows in silence. Yet often the truth is very different. That friend may be wrestling with insecurity, shame, or some private burden they do not yet know how to share. They are not rejecting you. They are hiding themselves. But if you misread their withdrawal as rejection, you may respond with your own distance and the friendship quietly dies. Misunderstandings of this kind do not simply pass. They leave behind resentment, distance, and poor decisions. We move people into mental boxes, lazy, selfish, cold, arrogant, and begin treating them as if those labels were the whole truth. They, in turn, feel unseen and misjudged, and often behave in ways that confirm our original mistake. The tragedy is that both sides feel wronged, and both sides are in pain, yet neither truly understands the other. Now, imagine something different. Imagine that in those very same moments you were able to see, just a little more clearly, what was really going on beneath the surface. You notice the fear behind the anger, the exhaustion behind the sharp reply, the longing behind the complaint. You do not excuse bad behavior, but you understand it. You respond not only to the words, but to the feeling that produced them. If you can learn to understand people faster than they understand themselves, you do not gain power to control them. You gain the power to stop hurting them and start helping them. You stop taking everything so personally. You stop answering every fear with your own fear, every wound with your own wound. Instead, you become the rare person who slows down, looks deeper, and says with your attitude, "I see more in you than this moment of weakness." In this talk, I want to show you a simple way to do that. You will not need a degree in psychology or a lifetime of study. You will need only a new habit of attention, learning to read what people really want, fear, and feel by listening to their words, their tone, and their small daily behaviors. Once you practice it, you will begin to notice patterns you never saw before. The people around you will say, "You understand me," often without knowing why. Your work will change, because you will manage people instead of merely correcting them. Your relationships will deepen, because you will respond to what truly hurts instead of the mask that hides it. And perhaps most importantly, your own heart will grow quieter, because much of your anger and confusion will be replaced by understanding. Let us begin then, to take off the masks, not by forcing others to reveal themselves, but by training ourselves to see what has been visible all along. I came to a simple but powerful realization early in my work with people. They do not reveal themselves through what they claim, but through what they seek. A man may say he wants one thing, yet spend all his energy chasing another. A woman may insist she is indifferent to approval, yet every gesture she makes is shaped by the hope of being accepted. Listen not to the declaration, but to the desire. That is where the truth lives. Most of us are guided by only a few fundamental needs so basic that they shape almost every conversation, conflict, and decision. People want to feel important. They want to feel safe. They want to feel understood. These three desires appear in different disguises, but they are always present. A boast may be a plea for importance. A criticism may be a cry for safety. Silence may be a fear of not being understood. Words can hide these things, but patterns never do. There are three windows through which you can see a person clearly, if you know how to look. The first window is what they complain about. Complaints are rarely about the surface. They reveal what a person feels they are not receiving. Attention, fairness, recognition, respect. I used to say in my classes, when a man complains, he is telling you what he needs. If he complains that no one listens to him, his need is to be heard. If she complains that others take advantage of her, her need is to feel protected. Complaints are not annoyances, they are clues. The second window is what people praise and admire. A person who admires courage is telling you something about the life they long for. A person who praises loyalty, values, connection, and commitment. A person who talks often about intelligence or success is revealing a desire for competence, significance, or security. When a man admires, I learned, he is telling you what he wishes to be. Praise is aspiration in disguise. The third window is repetition, what a person brings up again and again, sometimes without realizing it. Repetition exposes the emotional background music of their lives. Someone who repeats, "I just don't want to fail," is revealing a fear of judgment and a longing for reassurance. Someone who constantly revisits stories of betrayal is showing a fear of trust and a desire for safety. Someone who often says, "I should be further along by now," is revealing an unmet hunger for achievement or recognition. When a man repeats, I would say to my students, he is telling you what he fears or desires most. Let me give you a few simple examples. I once observed a man who spoke often about being disrespected. He used the word in nearly every conversation. He said his coworkers disrespected him, his family disrespected him, even waiters at restaurants disrespected him. What was he revealing? A deep need for respect, so deep, in fact, that he saw every neutral gesture through the lens of that craving. Another woman I worked with praised bravery constantly. Every story she admired involved courage. Someone standing up, someone speaking out, someone taking a risk. Yet in her own life, she avoided conflict, feared rejection, and rarely expressed what she truly wanted. Her admiration of courage was not casual, it was a map of who she longed to become. And then there was the young man who endlessly repeated, "I can't afford to fail." He said it when starting a job, when beginning a relationship, even when learning a hobby. Failure, to him, was not simply a result, it was an identity he feared above all. Beneath his ambition lived a terror of being judged inadequate. Understanding that transformed how his peers and mentors treated him. You will find these windows everywhere once you begin to look. In family conversations, in workplace meetings, in friendships, even in casual encounters with strangers. A single complaint may not tell you much, but a consistent complaint does. An occasional praise may be polite, but repeated praise reveals values. A single worry may be situational, but a repeated worry shows the architecture of a person's inner world. Once you know what to listen for, you begin to understand people faster than they have ever examined themselves. You stop debating their words and start understanding their needs. You stop reacting to their moods and start recognizing their fears. You stop taking behavior personally and start seeing the human experience beneath it. And then something remarkable happens. Your conversations become deeper, warmer, and more honest. Not because you became a better speaker, but because you became a better observer of the human heart. Before you can understand people, you must prepare yourself to want to understand them. And that begins not with a technique, but with an inner shift. Most of us enter conversations asking, how should I reply? What should I say next? How can I express my view? These questions turn our attention inward and blind us to what is happening in front of us. The moment you focus on your performance, you stop observing the person. So I encourage you to adopt a different mental posture, one that has guided me through thousands of encounters. Before speaking, ask yourself, what is this person really feeling? Not what are they saying, but what is stirring behind the words. You might also ask, what is this person trying to protect? And what is this person hoping to gain? These questions soften your ego. They loosen your defensive armor. They turn your attention outward. When you drop your instinct to win or defend, your vision becomes clearer, and your understanding sharpens almost effortlessly. A calm mind notices more. A curious mind sees what a proud mind misses. Once you are in the right attitude, you can begin to listen with a different set of ears. I often tell my students to hold 3 simple questions in the back of their mind as others speak. First, what is this person really afraid of? Every human being carries a private fear of being judged, of being irrelevant, of being abandoned, of not being enough. Fear hides behind irritability, avoidance, bragging, even laughter. Second, what do they feel they are not getting? This reveals the core need: respect, attention, reassurance, independence, appreciation. You can solve 1,000 misunderstandings simply by identifying the unmet need behind a recurring complaint. Third, what do they want to be seen as? Every person is trying to maintain an identity. Competent, caring, strong, loyal, free, wise. When their behavior seems strange, look for the identity they are trying to protect. A man may refuse help not because he doesn't need it, but because he wants to be seen as capable. A woman may react sharply because she wants to be seen as respected. You will notice, as you practice this, that a person's tone, pace, and emphasis reveal more than their words ever do. A quickening voice at a certain topic may reveal excitement or anxiety. A sudden softness may signal something tender or painful. A tightened throat around a word like failure or responsibility may be telling you that the subject carries shame or fear. Speech is like music. The notes tell you less than the emotion with which they are played. It helps to pay attention to micro-behaviors, the small, involuntary signs that reveal a person's inner landscape. Notice when someone speaks faster as they approach a sensitive subject, or slower as they choose their words with care. Notice when their eyes brighten at the mention of a dream, a hobby, or a person they admire. Notice when their voice tightens around phrases that carry emotional weight. Let me give you 2 everyday examples. I once watched an employee laugh nervously while saying, "I'm always the one who gets blamed." His laughter did not mean he found the situation amusing. It meant the opposite. He was covering a wound. Behind his humor was a plea for fairness and recognition. Another time, I saw a friend shrug off his own achievements with a casual wave, as if they were nothing. But when someone else was praised, his eyes lit up. That small reaction revealed a great deal. He craved appreciation, yet felt uncomfortable receiving it. His modesty was not indifference. It was insecurity disguised as humility. When you want someone to open up, resist the temptation to lecture or to fix their problem. Instead, draw them out gently with simple, sincere questions. Tell me more about that. How did that make you feel at the time? What mattered most to you in that situation? Why was that so important to you? These questions do not interrogate. They invite. They show interest without intrusion, concern without criticism. You will be amazed how often people reveal their true selves when they feel someone is genuinely listening. There are, however, common mistakes we must avoid. One of the greatest is trying to fix things too quickly. When you rush to offer solutions, you signal that you have not understood, or worse, that their feelings are inconvenient to you. Another mistake is turning the conversation toward yourself too soon. Oh, I've experienced that too. Let me tell you, this shifts the spotlight away from them, just when they need it most. And perhaps the most common error is taking everything literally. Most truths people express are emotional, not factual. Their complaints, their worries, their bragging, their silence, these are feelings searching for expression. If you respond only to the words and not to the emotion, you will misunderstand them every time. You do not need to be a psychologist to understand people. You do not need to be clever or analytical. You need only to be sincerely curious about what they feel beneath what they say. When you make this your habit, people will open up around you, trust you, and often say, "I don't know why, but I feel like you understand me." Let me show you how this works, not in theory, but in the quiet corners of everyday life, at work, at home, and with the people who seem the hardest to reach. Scene 1, at work, the difficult colleague. In almost every office I have known, there is someone everyone calls difficult. He interrupts in meetings, argues over details, and seems to resist every suggestion. You watch him fold his arms, raise his eyebrows, and you think, "What an arrogant man. He must enjoy creating trouble." When you hold that picture of him, your own behavior follows. You become short with him. You dismiss his objections. You speak over him. The tension grows like a knot, pulled tighter with every conversation. Both of you leave meetings feeling irritated and unheard. Now let us apply the framework we have been discussing. Instead of asking, "Why is he so impossible?" you ask yourself quietly, "What is this man trying to protect? What is he afraid of? What does he feel he is not getting?" And you begin to notice something interesting. You hear him say again and again, Nobody really listens to the people who are actually doing the work. Or, they never ask my opinion until it's too late. His words may come out sharp, even rude, but through the window of repetition you see something more. A man whose core need is to be given a voice, to be respected for his knowledge. Armed with this understanding, you try a different approach at the next meeting. When a topic arises that touches his area of experience, you turn to him and say, "You've been dealing with this issue more than any of us. How do you see it?" He looks surprised for a moment. He speaks. You listen without interrupting. When he finishes, you say, "That's a valuable point. I'm glad you brought it up." You have not flattered him. You have simply given him what he has been complaining he never receives, a chance to be heard and recognized. Over the next few weeks, you notice his behavior begins to soften, at least with you. He interrupts you less. He is less combative. In private, he may even say, "I appreciate that you actually listen when I talk." You now understand him better than he understands his own defensiveness. Where others still see arrogance, you see a man guarding his need for respect. You did not announce, "I am trying to understand you." You simply acted on what you observed. That is how understanding changes relationships. Quietly, from the inside out. Scene 2. At home. You don't care. Now let us walk into a home. A partner or family member says to you, "You don't care about me anymore." Few sentences sting more deeply than that. The natural response is to defend yourself. How can you say that? "Look at everything I do. I work all day. I handle the bills. I'm doing my best." So you pile up evidence, they pile up emotions, and the conversation becomes a courtroom. You both leave feeling more distant, not less. You heard the accusation but missed the need behind it. The next time those words appear, I invite you to pause before you defend. Remember the rule. When a person complains, they are telling you what they need. You ask yourself, what does this person feel they are not getting? What are they afraid of right now? The answer, in many cases, is simple. They fear they are no longer important to you. They need reassurance and priority. Instead of arguing, you take a breath and say, gently, "It sounds like you feel unimportant to me lately. Is that what's really hurting you?" Often, there will be a silence. Perhaps their eyes fill with tears. They may say, "Yes, that's exactly how I feel," and then pour out not a list of your failings, but their own loneliness. The atmosphere shifts from battle to confession. You are no longer opponents. You are two human beings trying to find each other again. Notice what happened. You did not agree that you don't care. You did not surrender the facts. You simply chose to answer the feeling instead of the wording. You read the need beneath the complaint, and you spoke to that. In doing so, you created space for honesty instead of escalation. Many people go through years of marriage or family life without ever feeling truly understood. One simple sentence. It sounds like you feel can do more to heal a relationship than 100 hours of argument, because it tells the other person, "I am not fighting you, I am trying to find you." Scene 3. The cold or shy person. Finally, consider the person at a gathering who stands on the edge of the room, arms crossed, answering in short sentences. You try to make conversation, but their replies are brief, yes, no, it's fine. You walk away thinking, well, they're not very friendly, and you direct your energy elsewhere. But if you remember our questions, what are they afraid of? What are they trying to protect? You might read the scene differently. You notice their nervous laugh, their eyes darting away when they speak, the way they touch their face or glass when the attention turns toward them. These are not the signs of arrogance. They are signs of insecurity and fear of judgment. So you change your approach. Instead of asking broad questions that put them on the spot, so tell me about yourself, you ask something smaller and safer. You give a little of yourself first. I always feel a little out of place at big events like this. Do you prefer small groups too? You see their shoulders relax a little. They smile. Just a bit. Yes, I do, they admit. You then turn the focus toward their interests, not their performance. What do you enjoy doing when you're not working? When they mention something, a book, a hobby, a type of music, you stay there. What do you like most about it? You are not interrogating. You are inviting them into a topic where they feel more confident. You do not crowd them. You give space. You do not remark, "You're so quiet." You simply let your warmth and curiosity be a gentle signal. You are safe with me. After some minutes, you may notice their sentences getting longer, their eyes meeting yours more often. The chill begins to thaw. Later, they might say to someone, "I don't usually feel comfortable around new people, but there was one person I liked talking to tonight. They may not know what exactly you did, but you will know. You understood their fear faster than they could explain it, and you acted on that understanding with kindness. When you look for the fear, the need, and the value behind people's words, you stop taking their behavior so personally. The difficult colleague becomes a person hungry for respect. The unfair partner becomes a person afraid of being unimportant. The cold stranger becomes a person hiding their insecurity. And in seeing them as they really are, you give them a gift most people never receive: the experience of being truly understood. Let us gather what we have learned and place it into your hands as something you can live with, not merely listen to. To understand people faster than they understand themselves does not mean reading their minds. It means learning to notice what they seek, what they fear, and what they value. You have seen that people reveal these things through 3 windows: what they complain about, what they admire, and what they repeat. A complaint shows an unmet need. Admiration reveals a value. Repetition uncovers a deep fear or desire. You have also seen that your greatest tools are not clever phrases, but simple habits of attention. The inner questions you ask yourself, the curious questions you ask others, and the way you observe tone, pace, and emotion instead of clinging to words alone. These small changes can transform the way you see every person you meet. You may have seen yourself, up to now, as someone who doesn't get people, or as someone who is always being misunderstood. Perhaps you have walked away from conversations thinking, "Why did that go wrong? Why do others seem to connect more easily than I do?" I have met many men and women who felt the same way. They believed that understanding people was a talent others were born with and they were not. I do not believe that. I have watched quiet, awkward, uncertain people become masters at dealing with others. Not by learning tricks, but by changing their identity one small thought at a time. You can become the person others feel finally understands them, often more clearly than they understand themselves. You might begin with a new sentence about yourself. I am someone who listens for what people really feel, not just what they say. Let that line become part of how you think of yourself. Repeat it when you enter a room, when you join a meeting, when you sit down with someone you care about. It will guide your attention in the right direction. If you like, you can add a few more simple affirmations. I listen for the feeling behind the words. I look for the need behind the complaint. People feel safe with me because I try to understand them first. These are not empty phrases. They are reminders of the kind of person you wish to be. And the more you remind yourself, the more your actions will begin to follow. Of course, no change is real until it enters your daily life. So let me suggest a very simple practice. Each day, choose one person, just one. It may be a colleague, a family member, a friend, or even someone who annoys you. As you speak with them, ask yourself quietly, what is this person afraid of? What do they need? What do they value? Do not say this out loud. Simply hold the questions in your mind. Then, instead of giving a quick answer or judgment, ask one curious question. It might be, what bothered you most about that? Or, why was that so important to you? Or simply, tell me more about it. You will be surprised how often that one extra question opens a door. At night, if you wish to go a step further, you can reflect for a moment and ask yourself, who did I understand better today? You are not looking for perfection, only for progress. If you can name one person you saw more clearly than before, you are already changing. I invite you to begin this practice with the very next person you talk to after this video ends. Do not wait for a special moment. Understanding people is built in the ordinary moments of everyday life. I would also like to understand you a little better. If you feel comfortable, tell me in the comments, where are you from? How old are you? In which area of your life do you most want to understand people better at work, in your family, in your relationships, or with friends? If you wish to keep learning how to connect, understand, and influence people in the way I have spent my life teaching, I invite you to subscribe. There is no greater skill you can develop than the ability to see others as they truly are and to treat them accordingly.